It's been a pretty nice day today. I was thinking about doing a video, but most of the time went by and like my mind wasn't exactly on it. By the way, summer solstice just happened within the last 24 hours. So actually we've just about finished our first full day of the summer. You know, the exact moment of the solstice doesn't happen right at midnight. It happens any time where it's going to happen. It shifts from year to year. And the actual moment of the solstice means that the angle of the Earth tilted in relation to where the sun is in its revolution around the sun comes to its maximum. It's really a visual thing. I'd have to show you with an animation. It's just really a beautiful thing when you can see it. I visualize it in the mind's eye, and it also is amazing. I don't even need a computer to do it because I'm not familiar with the elements involved. And we just had that. If it passed you by, don't worry about it. You subconsciously experienced it. But what you're about to experience is now the supermoon of the year. And honestly, I never heard about supermoons until I used the internet. It's one of those things that seems to have been created just for us to talk about on the interwebs. And it just basically means that the moon is closer to the Earth than its farthest away point, and that means that the size of the moon is going to appear somewhat larger. So I accept a lot of the data and interpretation of the cosmic model, about 99.9%. On most things, but when they extrapolate into these more complex and mysterious astronomy questions, then I start to really doubt, like, what makes the moon wobble? You know, what makes the Jupiter rings, and why did the red spot totally disappear? And even the more striking thing is one of the bands that go around Jupiter has completely disappeared. Man, that's quite mysterious, and we should figure out why. Now, why am I into all these things, all this various knowledge, you know, what's going on in Pluto, and what happened 20,000 years ago under the ocean? Because it changes our present worldview. Let me just give you an example as to why ancient civilizations are so important, the knowledge of them, the truth of them. Because if we're to see that civilization was so complex and so advanced that many years ago, it basically does two things. It makes us very humble to think that, well, we really don't know how to build these great pyramids anymore. And they had such technology that we can't even compete. And then the other effect that it has is a warning. If people are so advanced and people are so mysterious that we don't even know how they lived, what made them so great to exist back then, beyond our understanding. But even so, they crashed, they burned, they disappeared. It's enough to make you step back and just be forewarned. It could happen to us. We could disappear without a trace. And later generations, which will be quite possibly our descendants, unless our species gets replaced by aliens or some hybrid type of thing. But we can presume it will be our descendants that have no information, no idea where they came from. It'll all be erased, and they'll just wonder, where did we come from? How long have our kind been on this planet? What do you call it? So that's why this religion is very much into knowledge. I would gander to say that relative to all other religions that I've encountered, especially a lot of the established religions that are very crystallized, this crystal is still forming. This crystal is still liquid. And hopefully it will always be liquid. It will always be open, expanding, and getting better. It is the most scientific, investigative, open-minded approaches towards living. Religion's a way of living that you really commit to. Religion's a way of looking at our universe right in front of us and beyond in a way that is alive, it's dynamic, it's changeable. It could admit that it didn't know something. It could admit that it was wrong. And now we can brag about being right. So it has that humility and that ability to adapt and to make advances. What other religion has this? I mean, really think about it and tell me if you can challenge what I'm saying, and then tell me, because if it's true, I'm going to go join that religion. I'm being facetious, though. I've started a religion, and I'm going to do the best that I can to push the envelope exactly how it needs to go. Now, I wanted to talk about so many things that I was reflecting on today. The time of the summer solstice and now approaching the supermoon. By the way, the supermoon is basically a full moon in close proximity to the Earth, a shortest possible distance away, and it also happens to coincide with an annular eclipse. It's not a full total eclipse, but it's almost. It's an annular eclipse. It is an eclipse. The alignment is such that it may be off by a fraction of a degree in the it might align to one top of the sphere, because it's not like in geometry where you're connecting points. A point is an infinitesimal place. It doesn't have width or circumference. But the spheres that we understand them as, the planets, the moons, the sun, that's much more than a point, so they don't connect exactly in a line, straight line, as points would do. But anyhow, I'm not here to do a geometry lesson. What I want to talk about is the pyramids. I want to give you something actually that's very unusual and very special to me, that I've never really explained to anyone. And when I was young, let's say I was about 13, I happened to have a vision which was more like an imagination of something that I visualized, which I guess that's the way people have visions. I basically saw the symbol of a pyramid, and it was the color green, like emerald green, dark green. I don't know why. That's just how it came to me. And I visualized it in this like surreal landscape. You couldn't place it, somewhere on the planet. So it wasn't Egypt, it wasn't Mayan or something like that. I was growing up in the 70s, and not only was it of a dark green color, on one side, or on the side that was always facing me, it had a face. So there were two eyes and a mouth. Usually it didn't have a nose, but it was a big smile, kind of like a triangular smile. So it's smiling for a reason, and looking around over the landscape like it knew something. It had a secret to tell. Now, when I dug into this further, I had to make a diagram and show that the pyramid was just the top part of a long crystal. You know how the point of a crystal is like a facet, an angle, and when you extend it down, the crystal is elongated. So what you're seeing on the surface is just the top of the crystal. But it goes all the way down like this elongated crystal. All the way it went. I don't even know how far it went, but at the other end was another pyramid facing the opposite way. And basically the pyramid came out on the other end as... I'm doing the video, 1 minute. It came out into this other world where the surface was concave. It wasn't like convex, it was concave. The curve of the horizon was curved upwards. So it was like you're on the inside of a globe, not the outside surface of it. And that was even more otherworldly. You couldn't place it as the Earth. The other place could be like ancient prehistoric Earth, maybe, if I had to compare it to something. But the other end of it, if you followed it to the other pole of this pyramid crystal, the other end of it was somewhere else, another dimension altogether. I couldn't even explain it any better than that. So what I want to give you is that now I understand it as a revelation as of like 2 days ago. I actually just came to understand this at the point of the summer solstice this year. It means that long time ago there was a system of pyramids on the earth, and most of them have been covered over somehow with an accumulation of soil, and then it grows a lot of vegetation on it so that the color becomes green. It's basically a jungle that's coating the pyramid. I just now realized this, and you gotta understand, if I had this vision when I was 13, I've been holding this for decades in the back of my mind, not even knowing that it's going to be translated at some point. And I'm obviously leaning in the direction that this Bosnian pyramid, which is covered by vegetation, and they're clearing it off to find out what's underneath. It's like under meters thick of soil and roots and all that. They're clearing it off to expose the original surface. Well, not the original surface, but what's the remnant of the surface that used to be exposed to the air for all to see. These ancient pyramids, the way they were when they were functional. So I'm saying to you, I'm going out on a limb here, because I've never been to this site in Bosnia. It's north of Sarajevo. I'm just looking at the pictures and the video online, and it matches up with my vision. So we're going to see. We're going to find out. I'm eventually going to go there, or one of you in the religion is going to go there, and we're going to determine that this matches up. And if it doesn't, I'm going to admit that I'm wrong. If it doesn't. But I'm putting this out there. It's going to stand as some kind of mystical revelation that's being put to the test. Now, in concluding, I wanted to thank you for listening and pretending you're part of the religion and being with an open mind as you hear these thoughts and ideas and plans. And I want you to know that there's a lot of things about the religion which are not going to be decided just by me alone. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of framework and structure and foundation that I've already established, which I'm going to explain and codify. It's already codified, I just haven't shared it. Now the sharing time is going to begin. But there are other opportunities to develop on this. Many things. I mean, it's all interconnected, but I don't know how to decide these things, and that's up to you. It's really going to be up to you. You hold some of the keys. Now, if you want to say anything about the ideas here, if you've got your own, make a comment. It's open, I don't censor. Share this with everybody, favorite it, thumbs up, which I keep forgetting to tell you, because it really doesn't matter, but kind of does sometimes. I do unpopular videos, and I get 40 or 90 thumbs down from these people that can't think. They just want to come thumbs down and come up with these hateful comments. But hey, I'm used to that. 7.5 years on here. Make sure you subscribe, and thanks for listening.